This nibble originally aired on RSBANDB Update, episode 832, Echoes of Erebus. Enjoy. And I mean, I'm sure we'll be back next week or the week after, or even the week after that, with another lore discussion on this, because when you start summing these things all together, you have week 1 and you have week 2, and you combine what we're likely going to see next week, you're going to be bound to be put onto something interesting. But my point is that for anybody who hasn't read the battle reports yet, or you're just going based on what you see in game, you kind of got to take this as a whole of experience approach. And if you don't, then that's kind of focusing on what you're missing. But then again, you have to ask, is that good game design? To rely on people reading, right? Reading what you have outside.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the whole problem, is how much you are missing, because I think it's a really valuable part of
right
story,
But at the same time, how would you put this story into game? I'm playing devil's advocate here.
Right.
How would you put this into game? Because it's so detailed.
You could do it as like an inner dialogue, or someone was literally writing a report. Like I said, I mean, it lends itself to being narrated.
Right. But we do have that with a cutscene. But those cutscenes are short.
Yeah.
And looking at it from this way, I can see how it benefits by having all this. But at the same time, if I was tasked with putting this all together, I don't know how I would put this much lore in game for something that is the so-called mini quest.
Yeah. I think if it was just an addition, right? It was some filling, it was some, nice jewelry on top. That would be one thing. But this feels like it's kind of essential to the story, right? Or to understanding what just happened.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's different.
Right?
That's why it feels different. Unless
this is the icing in these battle reports, and the main story is just supposed to be focusing on the 4 that we see in the cover art: Zaros, Azanadra, Saren, and Saradomin. Unless you're going to have a base story out of that is just going to be enough, and you don't need any of this extra stuff. And we're just being really pedantic here as, lore players and quest players.
Well,
that's an option too, I guess, is that we're just being too pedantic on this.
That does happen.
Yeah, I know lots of people who are like that, and I know lots of people who devour this lore week after week and have been wanting this. But at the same time, what if what we have in game is enough? It's an interesting question, because I don't think we asked that question last week, did we? We
didn't, and
if there was a focus on just Saradomin, Saren, Azanadra, and Zaros going into the future on this, would that be enough? And I think, based on what we're seeing in game, the answer is yes.
But the answer is yes, because we have 2 weeks now to go on. And last week felt
precisely
very much like a sliver
of
a piece,
Because from the sounds of it and everything you take in game, Ali doesn't know if Zaros is coming back.
Yeah, that's true too.
If you go to the very end of it, when you talk to Ali and Trindy, Ali says, "So he's really gone." Trindy says that these look like shadow creatures, the sort that used to come up and bother me in the vault. Of course, she was stored in the Vault of Shadows, and we freed her in that archaeology mystery, and we need to close those portals fast. And when you ask Ali if Zaros will come back, Ali says, "Who can say? He has survived the last one apparent death, and is Erebus worse than that? I don't know. As for when he might return, I don't know. Perhaps tomorrow? Perhaps beyond both our lifetimes." Azanadra would know more than I. See what he has to say once this is all over. Once this is all over. So
And see what happens now since he's already there.
He's gone. He went through the codex, and I mean, we don't know what's on the other side. It's Erebus, presumably.
But where's the battle at now? Like, there's no more battle for the Monolith, right? Like, battle over.
Yeah, it's just leaking things now. If we just got to find a way to seal it up.
Things. Yeah.
And it's also very important to note that I assume Erebus is on the other side based on what we know about it. Ali assumes that it's Erebus on the other side as well, but we don't have absolute confirmation that it is indeed Erebus. And what if this is a red herring? Who can say? And then in that same exchange, he says, I don't know 2 times. Ellie, that is.
Well, I guess he doesn't know.
Right. And that's why I think maybe we shouldn't be jumping to conclusions on this.
Well, we'll see. I mean, another week, another piece will, eventually it's starting to fill in a little bit.
Yeah, and Alex actually has an Informer article that'll be out by the time you guys are all hearing this. He talked about why doing updates at a piece by piece like this actually works for the game. Sirion's last week was on about how we should be doing the opposite of that. His was play, don't tell, in terms of being able to actually play this content and just not read it to us, so to speak. So some interesting back and forth happening on an Informer there, which I like. It's very important that we do that kind of thing. So I just want to say before we move on, I realized we were picking at the weeds from the battle report, right? But at the same time, when you look at everything that Ali has said, he said a whole lot without saying much at all. And perhaps factoring that in and everything happening on the surface, this is more than enough based on where we're headed with this week. So that's my guess, and I'm content to wait for Monday on this now. You can find full episodes of RSBANDB Update right here on this YouTube channel. If you found this video useful or just enjoyed it, like and subscribe, or leave a comment.